level.
Alright guys, so today I want to do a review of the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, sometimes called the Man on the Moon. It is the latest reincarnation of the original watch that was used on the Apollo missions. I have it right here, and we'll take a closer look at it in a minute. Wrist check today. I am wearing the Breitling Super Ocean 42, which is normally my everyday watch. I wanted to do a review of the Speedmaster Moonwatch because it's probably my favorite watch, and there's one thing about it that just makes it just drives me insane, and we'll talk about that when we get into taking a closer look at the watch. But the great thing about this watch is the Hessellite gives it a really good viewing angles, gives it really good viewing angles. It's just a beautiful classic watch. So let's take a closer look at it on the wrist, talk about some of the pros and cons, and go from there. Alright, so here is the Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. The reference number is 311-30-42-30-01005. Crazy reference number. Most people will just refer to this watch as the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch. This watch is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's manual wind. It's not an automatic watch. The reason for that is when NASA was doing their original tests, I think there was some concern that an automatic watch in zero gravity would not wind itself. So they went with the manual wind of the Omega. They tested some other brands and some other kinds of watches, but ultimately they decided on the Omega Speedmaster. The second thing about this watch that's unique is it does have a Hessellite crystal. Hessellite is a plastic polymer versus you know, most of our watches that have crystal. The plus to the Hessellite is if you were to take a hammer and hit it, it may crack, but it's not going to shatter. Where the Sapphire, if you hit it with a hammer, will shatter. And in the zero gravity environment, they didn't want little pieces of glass flying around in case someone did shatter their crystal or excuse me, or in this case, the Hessellite. I want to just talk about a few things that I really love about this watch, and then one thing that drives me absolutely crazy about this watch. So the Hessellite is probably the first thing. Hopefully, you know, you can pick this up on the video. It's a very nice domed Hessellite, and you get great viewing angles, but really, when you look at it at different angles, it really gives you some really nice distortion. It truly does, it really truly is a timepiece that you could look back and say belongs in the 50s and 60s. You know, it does have the tachymeter scale with the readings on the bezel rather than inside on the chapter ring or on the dial, and it does have the 369 layout that just gives this watch really nice character, and the balance on the dial is great. Another thing about the watch is, and it's really kind of hard to tell on video, but when you hold this up to the side, it gives it almost a UFO or flying saucer look, which I think is just perfect for NASA and for this watch. All right, so it does, because it is manual wind, it does have the Omega Caliber 1861, which is manual wind with a 48-hour power reserve. You know, I think a lot of people just getting into watches will discount manual wind watches because they think, well, if it doesn't wind itself, I have to wind it. You know, it's kind of a pain in the rear end. But to be honest, when you have this watch, you just get into the habit about once a day just topping it off, and it works out just fine. The dial is just classic with a 369 layout there of the sub dials. The hands are beautiful. This watch is one of the easiest watches to read, especially for a chronograph. For example, I have a Tudor Prince date. A lot of people will know that watch as the Tiger because it was Tiger Woods' first watch endorsement with Tudor before he left and went to Tag Heuer, and then now on to Rolex. That watch is, just because of the colors and the way everything is laid out, is very hard to read the time sometimes. You almost have to turn it up on its side and get the light to hit the hour and the minute hand to see what time it is. This one is very easy to read the time just at a glance. Beautiful. The case is beautiful. It's got polished here on the bevels and then brushed on the sides. Just, you know, just a really gorgeous watch. You know, if we take a look at the case back, it does have the Omega hippocampus, and it's kind of hard to see on this video here. And of course, it does say that it's flight qualified by NASA for all manned space missions and the first watch ever worn on the moon. So when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on Apollo 11 landed on the moon, they both were wearing this watch. Just gorgeous. The case is beautiful. Which brings me to the bracelet. And this is the one thing about this watch that absolutely drives me crazy. And I think the Professional 2 bracelet is beautiful the way it's brushed and polished. I think it looks great. It's very high quality, solid end links, very good weight to it. Gorgeous. Well, with the milled clasp, of course, gives it a nice feel. But let's talk about what I hate about this watch. So Omega does not ship, and I am not even sure if Omega makes half links for this bracelet. So we've got full length. We have basically full length links here that go all the way down without any half links like you might get in the older Planet Oceans and Seamasters. And then the problem is you only have, hopefully I can get it here on screen. You only have 2 micro adjustments. And a lot of people think this micro adjustment here is a half link. So why would you need a half link? The problem with that is that's not a half link, that's a quarter link. I was out in Las Vegas recently and went into an Omega boutique in the Bellagio and had this conversation with one of the salesmen. Really nice guy. Unfortunately, I had this with me, but it was in the safe in the hotel room. I didn't have it with me. I wish I would have had it with me because he said that it can be problematic to get this bracelet to fit, especially for someone whose wrist will kind of swell and shrink throughout the day, which mine does quite a bit. The problem I have is if I put another full length in and I put it on the inner, the one on the right quarter link, the watch will flop around my wrist and actually will almost turn all the way into the inside of my wrist. If I, like I have it now, with one link out and on the quarter link there, it really does give me a bit of a problem in terms of it being too tight on the wrist, especially in warm weather. So let's take the Breitling off for a minute. Let's pop this one on the wrist, and you can see what I'm talking about. So this is as close as I can get it to really fit me well, right there. But it really is extremely tight. And if it just had one more micro adjustment to a half link, for a quarter and a half, if it just had 3 holes instead of 2, I could easily put a link in and then pop it back. And you can see it, I mean, just from wearing it just for a moment there, it leaves a mark on my wrist. That is what I absolutely despise about what otherwise would probably be the watch I would wear every day, and probably wouldn't wear another watch very often. So, you know, just to kind of go over, but that's my only negative of the watch. Otherwise, it's a great historical timepiece. It's a beautiful timepiece. You're wearing a piece of history. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is manual wind. You do have to wind it at least once every 2 days. I pretty much top it off once a day when I'm wearing it. But other than that, it's just a beautiful watch. So when we talk about the Moonwatch, you know, a lot of people talk about, well, the Hesalite is problematic because it does scratch. Well, absolutely, it will scratch more easily than a crystal, but you can pick up some Polywatch off of Amazon and just buff out in literally 30 seconds any small scratches you put in it. If you put a huge gouge in it, it's going to be problematic, and at some point you'll have to get the Hesalite replaced. That said, though, I've had this watch for, oh boy, over a year, probably close to 2 years, and I do wear it quite a bit on a leather strap, and so far I haven't put a scratch on this thing. Just wearing it normally, not being overly careful, but if you do get a scratch, certainly you can just use some Polywatch and buff that out. The other minor drawback to this watch is its price. You can get it on the gray market new for probably, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at my computer here. You know, you can get this, the retail price is $5,200. I would say if you're going to buy this watch, don't buy new retail. It just doesn't make sense. There are many other watches for the same price, if you're going to pay retail, that you can get that are just better watches. They're not going to have the history of this watch. I mean, this is a unique one of a kind piece. But you can get it new on the gray market, Joma Shop, Max, Watch Max, some other places. Reputable gray dealers for about $3,600, $3,700. In the used market, you can probably find this for anywhere from, you know, $2,700 to $3,200, and you can get a really good piece in really good condition for that price. So I want to talk about a few things that come with this watch, and I didn't bring them all out, but this comes with the huge display box. I mean, it is large. If you've never seen it, it's larger than any watch box I've ever seen. It's a really cool box, but really, who cares about the box anyway? You're not going to wear the box around. It also comes with an Omega black NATO strap, which I do wear this on occasionally. I'm not a huge fan of NATO straps, but it is a very nice NATO strap that is signed Omega. On both the clasp and on one of the retaining rings that you would find up here. It also comes with the actual Velcro strap that will fit around a flight suit. So if you're planning on going to the moon, or you're planning on going up in the space station, then hey, you've already got the strap you need to strap it on around your spacesuit. I think that's just a novelty, but it's a pretty cool thing to have. It also comes with the Speedmaster Hippocampus paperweight here, and I do use this as my paperweight on my desk. It's a pretty cool feature. Again, none of those things have anything to do with really the watch, but it's kind of a cool feature to have. All in all, if they just would have put one more quarter link adjustment in this clasp, this would be my perfect watch, and I probably would wear it every day over the Breitling Super Ocean 42. Yeah, just a great watch. Like the Breitling, this is a 42mm watch. It's a bit thick because of the Hesalite and the way the Hesalite, you know, kind of domes up there. I think it comes in at 14.3 millimeters. But I do wear this with a suit quite a bit, and it easily fits under a dress shirt sleeve. Again, sometimes when I do wear it with a suit, I will wear it either on a black or a brown leather strap instead of the bracelet, but only because I cannot get the doggone bracelet to fit. The other thing that really drives me crazy about Omega is I love Omega. I've got an Omega watch from World War II. I'll do a review on that later. I have also had a few Seamaster Planet Oceans. I had a similar problem with the older Planet Oceans that I do with this, and that's getting a really good fit because the Planet Oceans have no micro adjust. The older Planet Oceans have no micro adjustments. The new Planet Oceans that started coming out last year now do have a bit of a ratchet system where you can move this in and out of the buckle, a lot like the Rolex Submariner. That just, I mean, it is so smart to do that. I don't know what's taken Omega that long. And I hear you can retrofit one of those clasps onto the Speedmaster, but then you've got a Seamaster clamp. Then you've got a Seamaster clasp on the Speedmaster, which I mean, I guess is okay, but they just need to fix this one. If they did, it would almost be the perfect watch. Anyway, that's my review of the watch. Oh, you know, before I finish up, you know, one thing to keep in mind is that the Omega Caliber 1861, it's not a chronometer. It's not going to be as accurate as some of the chronometers that you see. But I'll tell you, this thing's been really accurate. I hardly ever have to adjust the time. I may adjust the time about once a week or so, only because I do that anytime I put a watch on. I typically will go to time.us.gov to the atomic clock and set it. And I do that just kind of obsessively when I put watches on. But, I mean, you could wear this watch for a month and it's going to keep you, you know, within a minute or so. At least that's been my experience. In any event, that's my Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon, or Moonwatch, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think about the watch. Leave me a comment, thoughts, questions, anything. I'm just kind of curious about other people's experience with this watch, and specifically if other people have had the same problem I have had with sizing this watch. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Next level.